Hey everybody, welcome back, and today we are bringing back an old school series on my channel, and it is called Fresh, Fierce, Fabulous. Now this is not really a new idea, it's just a different take on a 3 looks 1 palette tutorials that people do that I love, because I love it when people show the versatility of palettes, because I think a lot of times we can get a palette home and get stuck and only do 1 look, and we don't explore all of our options, which is why I love these kind of videos and why I really love this series. Now mine is a little bit different because every time I do one of these, I always try and do a fresh look, which is very clean, very easy, very simple, generally no liner, no lashes, none of that stuff, just very easy, everyday, work appropriate, school appropriate. I like to do a fierce look, which is very much smoky, New Year's Eve, almost drag inspired, something really over the top, really fun, sexy, fierce. And then I like to do a fabulous look. And the fabulous look can be anywhere in between that, generally is where it lands. It's just something that makes me feel good. Sometimes it can be a little bit more over the top, sometimes it can be a little bit lighter, and again, sometimes it's right in between. I think I kind of got right in between today. This is actually the fabulous look for today's tutorial. But the palettes I used for today's tutorial are actually the Urban Decay times Kristen Leanne palettes. I actually used both of these because I think they're both really good palettes on their own. This one I have been traveling with, and I love, like, I think when I go to Texas in September, this might be the only palette I take. It is phenomenal, one of my favorites. It's been going to the beach with me, easy everyday palette. And then I think this is one of the best palettes color-wise that Urban Decay has come out with in a minute. I love this palette. I think everything in here is amazing, and I just wanted to kind of play around and show you what you can do with these palettes in conjunction. And also know that if you say you just got this one and you have a colorful palette, substitute that one in. If you just bought this one and you have a warm neutral palette, substitute that one in. This is just to give you an idea. Maybe open up the window so you can kind of try some different things with the palettes and really see the range of looks you can get with a palette. I hope you guys like this idea, and if you do, if you want to stick around and see my fresh, fierce, and fabulous look, see how I got this look right here, which might be my favorite out of all of them. I think I like this look a lot. It's very what I've been leaning towards a lot lately, and it just was fun to create with this palette. But if you want to see how I got these 3 looks from the Daydream and Kaleidoscope palette from the Urban Decay times Kristen Leanne collaboration, then stick around and I'll see you after. All right, everybody, we're going to start off this look just by priming our eyes with our Urban Decay primer potion. I'm just going to take this on my finger and I'm just going to put this from lash line to brow bone. Now we're going to go into the Kristen Leanne and Urban Decay Daydream palette, and I am going to take my BRC S03 brush. We're going to pick up the lightest shade right here called Lucy, and we are just going to set that primer. Really going to focus that on the inner corner because I get a lot of darkness there. I'm going to pick up my Wet n Wild Fluffy brush, and we're going to go into the shade right here called Daydream. Now this is a really, this shadow has a lot of fallout, so I'm just going to kind of dip in and tap off, and we're just going to start placing this in our transition. Do feel like you have to really build this shade up, but again, it's a very light transition shade, so it works for my purposes here. I'm going to take a BR250 brush from Coastal Scents, and now we're going to go into this shade right here called 1212, which is beautiful, like peachy, corally type shade, and we're going to focus that just right over Daydream. Start building this transition up. So again, small circles in the outer corner to really buff and blend that color out, and then we're going to drag it up and over once most of the color is deposited. And once we've got that color placed there, I'm going to pick up some more of that 1212 shade and just really get it on the flat side of the brush, and I'm going to start just patting this on to the lid, and I'm going to take it about halfway over. Now taking that same brush, we're going to go into the darkest shade in the palette called 8, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of dip the tip in like that, just on that same BR250 brush, and I'm going to focus this right here in the outer corner. I'm just going to set it and wiggle it to place the color, and then I'll start doing little circular motions, and I'm only going to drag it over about 1/3 of the way. I do not want this over very far at all. And build it up to your desired depth. I want kind of a more clean look today, so I'm not going to build this up too deep. I just wanted some definition in the outer V. And now I'm just going to go in with the little brush that's in the palette. I'm going to go in with that flat shader brush, and I'm going to go back into the shade Lucy, and I am going to really focus that as my inner corner highlight. We're doing a completely matte look today. This is such a pretty little palette. I'm going to take that and blend that up into that 12-12 shade, and then also over on the lid, and just kind of blend it in. And if you feel like that Lucy shade got over a little too far, pick up that BR250 with just a little bit more of the 12-12 shade on it again, and then just place it and wiggle. So do the pat and wiggle. For my waterline today, I'm going to go in with my Wet n Wild, my Urban Decay 24/7 waterline pencil in Walk of Shame. I'm going to put that on my lower lash line, and I am going to go in with some mascara. I'm doing a mascara review, so you probably won't see that part, but I'll be right back for the rest of the face. So I have finished up my eyes. I did use the Maybelline Total Temptations mascara. I will have a review coming out for that next week or so, but let's go ahead and finish the face. So I'm going to take my Sephora powder brush. This has been my favorite brush for bronzing, contouring lately, and I'm going to go into my Profusion contour palette. This one is in medium. Looks like this, and I'm going to just kind of take a mix of these two shades right here, which are Walnut and Honey, and I'm just going to lightly pick those up on that brush, and I'm just going to start warming up my face. I'm just doing a little bit of contour, and I'm going to take that around my forehead. A little of these go a very long way, so just be warned. Since our eye look is very peachy today, I want to go kind of keep in that same theme. So I'm going to go into the Tarte Blush Bliss palette, and I think I'm going to pick up just a tiny little bit of Graceful with Genuine. I'm going to mix those together on my BRC S25 brush. So I'm just kind of dot into one, dot into the other. Very lightly just focus that on the apples of the cheeks and then work back. These blushes are extremely pigmented, so you don't need a lot. I really just want to focus that on the apples of my cheeks. I think that just gives your blush such a fresh, beautiful look. It's just like my favorite place is just right on the cheeks and then blend it back. For highlighter today, since we are going with a more peachy look, we've got the peachy blush. I think I want to go with a more gold highlighter, so I'm going to go into the Mega Glow Highlighting Gold Bar, which was a Christmas limited edition but is now permanent, and I'm just going to go in with my dollar knockoff NARS brush, and again I'm just going to focus that right on the tops of the cheeks and just work it back, really blend it in. You could definitely make this highlight more intense if you wanted, but I just wanted to go something softer and a little bit prettier. Well, not that a bunch of highlight isn't pretty, but just softer today. All right, I do want to set everything, so I'm going to go in with my Milani Make It Dewy setting spray, excuse me. And for lips, again, I just want to go really simple, so I'm going to go in with the Lasting Finish by Kate lipstick. This is part of the Nudes collection. It is in number 43. All right, everybody, and that is the fresh look. All right, everybody, apparently I don't know how to hit the record button, so I went ahead and primed my eye with my Urban Decay Primer Potion, and then I picked up my V6 brush from BH Cosmetics, and I went into the Daydream palette and picked up the shade Lucy. Again, use any shade that you have, whatever shade works best for your skin tone, just to set that primer. And if you see me looking over here, I'm just making sure I'm in focus. Now, staying in that Daydream palette, I'm going to go into the shade Daydream with a Wet n Wild Fluffy brush. We're just going to start really generously just building up that transition. This is my first time doing this kind of extreme spotlight cut crease, so bear with me, guys. This is kind of a learning / playtime experience, but I'm trying to bring some more variety to my channel in looks and kind of increase my knowledge and skill, and I thought, you know, it might be fun to make sure it's on camera. All right, staying in that palette, we're gonna go into that shade 1212 with the same brush. I'm just really building up this kind of orangey shade. We're gonna take this pretty high. Now, once we've got that 1212 shade on the eye, we're gonna pick up the Kaleidoscope palette and we're gonna go into this shade right here called Tajin, I believe is how you say it, with a BR250 brush. And I'm going to be very generous with this one. This shade is, I find it's nice, but it's kind of hard packed for what I want. So I'm not even gonna tap off my brush, and I'm just gonna kind of, who knows, this side might turn out better than the other one. But I'm just gonna really build up that color and take it up really high. I want that really orangey base. Now I'm gonna pick up just this is the fine crease brush from Essence of Beauty. I got mine at Walgreens or CVS, and we're gonna go into this shade right here called the 13th Floor, which is just a very deep dark black. And I have put some loose powder down because there is some fallout with these shades. And I am just going to start placing this right in the inner and outer corner of the eye. I'm gonna take my time with it. Use a teeny tiny little brush because I don't want it to get everywhere. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start dragging this. I haven't picked up any more product. I'm gonna start dragging this black over, and I'm just gonna make a rounded shape. It can be messy right now. Don't freak out if it is. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that 13th Floor and just really go back and reiterate that color. What I'm gonna do is pick up that BR250 brush again, and I'm gonna start buffing this out. I don't have any more color on this brush. This is the brush we applied the Tajin shade with. I don't know how you say that. Sorry guys, that's so ignorant. And start buffing this up and out. This is gonna take some time, so just take your time until you get the blend that you want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my BR250 and go back into that Tajin shade. And again, just reiterate the orange. I do wanna take this black up just a little bit higher because as you can see from this eye, we're gonna take those blues up pretty darn high. So I want the black to be more intense, a little bit higher. So I'm just going back in with that Precise Crease brush from Essence of Beauty and just bringing the black up, and then I'm just gonna blend it out with that BR250 brush again. Now what I'm gonna do is I am going to take my Tarte Shape Tape, I said it right, and a BRC S53, which is just a teeny tiny little pencil brush. And I'm gonna just take some of that on my lid and just place it right there, just kind of at the pinnacle of my lid. And then I'm gonna look up. So right here you can see that's where I want the color to be. So I'm probably gonna go a little bit higher than that, but that's gonna be our starting point. So in order to really cut that crease, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a teeny tiny little precision brush. This is the Delium Tool 760 with some of that Tarte Shape Tape. I said it twice, right, in the same video. The world may be ending. And I'm gonna start just creating that shape. Again, take your time with this. If you mess up, no big deal. It is just eyeshadow. And I'm not gonna take this all the way up and down. I'm gonna take it about the middle, I would say 3/4 of the eye. So now that we have that basic outline, and again, if it needs to be fixed, we can go back and fix it. But I'm gonna pick up that BRC S53 brush again and just start filling in the concealer on the lid, taking it out to the black and into the black that we've already placed on the eye. It would probably help if I was in frame, sorry guys. So we're just gonna kind of fade it in and out. So again, that's a good starting point. If we need to fix something or switch something up, no worries, we can always do that. So I'm going to go back with that fine crease brush and the 13th Floor shade right here, and I'm just gonna reiterate the black on the inner and outer corner. I'm not taking it in too far at all. We're just kind of making sure we didn't lose any of that color. Now we're gonna pick up a teeny tiny precision brush. I'm gonna go in with the Coastal Scents BRC S12 brush, teeny tiny flat shader brush, and we are gonna go in with the shade TRM. And we're gonna start fading that in. I'm actually not foiling this shade because it doesn't need it. So we're just gonna start patting that on the border of the black and the rest of the eye where the concealer is. You could foil this if you want to. I don't feel like it's necessary with these shadows, which is pretty phenomenal, but I am going to pat on just to make sure I get the opacity that I want. And again, you're going to see you're going to get some fallout here, so you know, either do your foundation last or put some powder down. And I'm just going to follow the lines of that concealer. And we're going to go into this shade right here next to it called Low, just with the same brush. And we're going to pat that over the rest of the eye space. And when you get up to where the concealer line is, just be careful. So what I'm going to do is take that same brush again. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that TRM shade and just kind of start doing the pat and wiggle to really transition those shades. And now, because I want a little bit more of a pop with this color, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same brush and we're going to go into the shade Leo, which is the blue part of that double shade. So I am going to clean my brush off. Then we're going to pick up that Leo shade, and then we're just going to place this everywhere that Low is, just to really get a pop and get some of that beautiful iridescence. So I feel like I lost a little bit of the definition on the black on this side. So what I'm going to do is just take a little teeny tiny, this is like a little lip brush or eyeshadow brush from MASH, and I'm going to go back into the 13th floor, and I am just going to very lightly outline where I put the blue shades on the center of the lid. And once I have laid down that black, I'm going to go back in with that fine crease brush again and start blending it up and out. And then once I blend it out enough, I am going to go in with just a small pencil brush, and I'm going to go back in with that Tajin shade, that orangey matte shade, and start, again, blending everything out. I'm going to pick up that V6 brush again from BH Cosmetics and go back in with the Lucy shade. And with this, I'm just going to place this right underneath the brow and right in the inner corner. I'm going to go back in with my Wet n Wild Fluffy brush with no more product on it, just to kind of blend everything together and bring some of that warmth back in. I'm going to take my Rimmel Scandaleyes eye pencil in black, and I'm going to tight line and line my waterline, and I'll be right back because I can never do that on camera. All right, once we have the liner on, I'm going to go back in with that Delium Tools 760 brush, right? 760. And I'm going to go back in with a 13th floor. I've now cleaned off the concealer off of it, and I'm just going to smudge some of that black shadow into the lash line. Now, taking my Morphe M432, I am going to go back into the 13th floor shade, and what we're going to do is just start building up underneath the eye, because it's going to be a little dramatic. Now I'm just taking a little no-name pencil brush, and we're going to go back into the shade TRM, which is this one right here. We're going to start just buffing that out. We are going to be bringing this down pretty low. You do not have to bring it down this low. I was just feeling a little dramatic today. Now, once I've got that blue on there, I'm going to go back in with that same just no-name pencil brush, pick up a little bit more of that 13th floor, and really start blending in that black to the outer portion, so you get that fade from black to blue. You need to blend it up into that outer corner. And that is pretty harsh right now, so I'm going to take a BRC S08 brush, which is just a pencil brush, and we're going to go into the shade Daydream, the shade right here from the Daydream palette. We're just going to use that shade to soften it up. All right, I'm going to throw on some mascara and some lashes, and I'll be right. All right, just to finish up the eye, we're going to take a little bit of Leo and a little bit of Brixton. I'm going to mix both of those, and we're just going to pop those on the inner corner of the eye. All right, now we're just going to finish up the rest of the face. So I'm going to go in with a pretty neutral blush. This is Blush Baby from MAC, and I'm just going to take this on a V2 brush from BH Cosmetics. Just very, very lightly. And for highlight today, I'm going to go in with Milani's Strobe Light Highlighter in Afterglow with a Morphe M510. I'm going to take a little bit of my dim light from my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder Palette on a Sephora powder brush. And I'm just going to kind of warm up the outsides of my face. And just with a big powder brush, I'm just going to go into Radiant Light and Incandescent Light and just set the rest of my face. All right, guys, since we have so much going on with everything else today, I'm gonna go really super nude on the lips. So I'm going to use my Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit in Nudie Patootie. I'm just gonna finish everything off with my Wet n Wild Natural Finish Setting Spray. All right, everybody, so this is the Fierce look. So definitely room for improvement. You know, this is the first time doing a really dramatic spotlight halo eye like this, kind of with that cut crease technique. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you stick around for the fabulous look. All right, everybody, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna start off priming my eye with my Urban Decay Primer Potion. This is just the regular version. Just, you know, use whatever you got. Going into the Daydream palette, I am going to use this shade down here called Lucy. I'm gonna pick that up on my V6 brush from BH Cosmetics. This is from their vegan line. And I'm just gonna use that to set my primer. Going back into the Daydream palette, I'm gonna take my Wet n Wild Fluffy brush, and we are going to go into the shade Daydream just to start buffing out the transition color so we can start using some of those more dramatic colors. And again, build this up as deep as you need to. If you are a darker skin tone than I am, you could definitely use Daydream to set your primer and then go in with Subscribe, which is this shade right here, which is a little bit deeper and a little bit more warm toned, and that would give you the same effect. You can definitely make this work. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite travel palettes. I absolutely adore it. Now that we've got Daydream down, I'm going to now go into the Kaleidoscope palette. So again, we're using both of these palettes, and I'm gonna pick up the shade Tahine. I think that's how you pronounce it, this beautiful orange shade right there. And I'm just gonna use the same fluffy brush. So, but I'm gonna take that shade and I'm just gonna start buffing that right over Daydream. I'm gonna take it pretty high, but I'm gonna concentrate most of the color in the crease and then build it up. Now I'm gonna pick up my Coastal Scents BR250 brush, which looks like this. And we're gonna go back into the Daydream palette, and I'm gonna pick up the shade 8, which is the deepest dark brown shade in the palette. A little of this, where that Tahine shade, you have to really kind of pounce your brush in there to pick some up. This you don't at all. It's very pigmented, but a very beautiful, deep, almost like purple undertone brown. It's really gorgeous. And I'm gonna take that and I'm just going to work this on the outer half of my lid and blend it up into the crease. So I'm gonna really build up that color in the outer corner, and then with that BR250 brush, once I've deposited most of the color, I'm going to start blending it up into the crease and blending it over. You can make this as deep and dark as you want. I'm kind of keeping it a little towards the more medium toned depth, but I'm gonna pick up that Wet n Wild Fluffy brush again and go back into the Tahine shade, and then just start buffing it out and blending it in. So you get a nice seamless transition. And you are gonna lose a little bit of that color, but that's okay, because I'm gonna go back and build it up on my lid in just a minute. But I just really wanna make sure that color is blended out and as seamless as possible. And again, it's all about steps. You gotta take your time and just go back and forth and work with it till you find what works. So now we're gonna start working on the lid color. I'm gonna go in with my Sephora Precision Shadow Brush, which is just a teeny tiny little brush like this. And I'm gonna go into Stay Gold, which is this beautiful metallic shade in the Kaleidoscope palette. So I'm gonna pick that up on my brush, and this is the way I always do it. I'm gonna pick up the shadow dry, and then I'm gonna wet down my brush just to kind of help me preserve the integrity of my shadow. And then I'm gonna take that and just start painting that on the inner half of my eye. Go up a little bit high, that's okay. We can always go back and blend it in. I am gonna put just a little bit on the inner corner. And then what I like to do is I'm gonna flip that brush over to the dry side, pick up a little bit more of that Stay Gold, just dry, and just pat it on. I'm gonna pick up my BR250 brush again with a little bit more of that deep dark brown shade from the Daydream palette called 8. Just a little bit, just on the tip of the brush. And just reiterate that color in the outer half of the lid, and then do the pat and wiggle to kind of transition the brown into the gold. So I just place the brush and wiggle it back and forth until I get the transition that I want. And it cuts out any harsh lines. It just makes it, it's just the easiest way I've found to do that technique. And I'm gonna bring that brown over a little bit to cut down on that gold, any gold that has gotten too high. I do want to line my waterline and my lower, or sorry, and tight line, so I'm just gonna use my Maybelline Master Precise Skinny in Jet Set Black, I believe. Defining Black. I'm gonna do that. You guys know I can't do this on camera, so I'll be right back. Now we're gonna start building down that color to create that really pretty smoky eye. So I'm gonna take my Morphe M432 and going into the Kaleidoscope palette, we're gonna pick up a little bit of the shade 13th Floor on that brush. And I've got it kind of concentrated on one side of the brush. So what I'm gonna do is flip it up, and then I'm going to just kind of work it really, really close to the lower lash line. And I'm gonna stay in frame because I'm an adult and can do both. Now I'm just picking up a little no-name pencil brush. I believe I got this one from a Profusion palette, but any small pencil brush that you have will do. I'm gonna take that brush and pick up some more of that 8 shade. And I'm gonna start building up this color and really blending this to the black and just keeping it really tight, little strokes, and just be gentle with it. And I am gonna take it pretty much all the way in. We are gonna soften it up, but I wanna build up that base. Once we've got that 8 color down, I'm gonna use that same brush. I'm just gonna clean it off in my little color wheel dupe. And we're gonna go back into the Tahine shade right here. We're gonna start smoking it out and bringing it down. So at this point, it's looking a little bit darker and less blended out than I want it to, but that's okay because we're gonna go in with just a softer, more fluffy pencil brush. This one is the Coastal Scents BRC S08 brush. And we're gonna go back in with that original transition shade called Daydream from the from the Daydream palette. So I'm gonna take that color and really start blending it out. And this color, because it's so close to my skin tone, is gonna start softening up those edges. And again, you can bring this out and just kind of, if you got too low or too crazy on the outer edge, you can use that to kind of erase it as well. I'm gonna go back in with my BH Cosmetics V6 brush and that Lucy shade from the Daydream palette. And I'm going to start lightening up underneath my brow bone. Just kind of take that. So if the color got too high when you were blending, no worries, because again, we're just gonna use this color to kind of, erase it and bring it down and brighten everything up. I'm gonna take that Wet n Wild Fluffy brush one more time with no more product on it and just blend everything together. All right guys, I'm gonna throw on some lashes. I'm using my Ritzy lashes from Kiss, and I'm just going to use my Troublemaker mascara from Urban Decay. I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. All right guys, so we've got the lashes on. So now just to blend them in, because I don't wanna mess with liner today because I'm being lazy. No, I just don't wanna mess with liner. I have gotten very into the lashes no liner look, where I just kind of take a little bit of black shadow and just blend it in. So I'm gonna take my Sephora angled liner brush right here, and I'm just gonna go back into that 13th Floor shade from the Kaleidoscope palette right here. And I'm just gonna be very, very careful and just kind of stamp that along the lash line. And again, be careful with this black shadow. This is very much like the 8 shadow from the Daydream palette. You can get some fallout with it. And just to finish off the eye look, I'm just gonna take another little pencil brush from BH Cosmetics and go into this kind of more pinky iridescent shade of the split pan called Brixton, which is it's really interesting because it is like when you swatch it, it's got like a pink purpley shift to it almost. More so, yeah, it's hard to see. It looks more blue here, which is weird because as I'm looking at it, it looks more pink, but on camera it looks blue. It's bizarre, but it looks pink in person. And when I place this on the inner corner over the Stay Gold, it definitely gives a more blue effect. But I like it to brighten up the inner corner. All right guys, I'm gonna zoom out. We're gonna do the rest of the face. All right guys, just to finish off my face, I'm gonna take my Sephora powder brush and I'm just gonna kind of run it through my ambient lighting powders from Hourglass. Just kind of wipe away any excess powder and just kind of set everything. I do want to bronze up just a little, so I'm going to use the same brush and go into my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer and just kind of warm up the edges of my face. I'm not really doing any kind of crazy contouring. For blush today, I'm going to use my Ambient Lighting Blush Palette from Hourglass, and I think I'm going to use Luminous Flush, which is this one over here. And I'm just taking this on a BR250, or sorry, not a BRCS25. I can talk, hello. I am going to take a little bit of Mood Exposure and just kind of work that towards the back. I am going to take my Kevyn Aucoin Celestial Powder in Candlelight on an e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm just going to use that to highlight. Guys, I know I'm using a lot more kind of high-end face products than I normally do in my tutorials, but that is because y'all said y'all were interested in seeing the video on high-end products or higher-end leaning luxury products that I'm kind of mad I bought because I really like them. And these are on that list, so I thought, you know, I might as well see them or show them so you can see them on my face. I'm just going to set everything with my MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus. This is the lavender one. It smells so good. Just to finish off the look, I'm going to go in with my Dose of Colors liquid lipstick in Lazy Daisy. I've really been enjoying this color like a bunch. All right, everybody, and this is the finished fabulous look. I hope you enjoyed. All right, everybody, so those are my 3 looks. I hope you really enjoyed them. I think I got 3 really different, interesting looks, and they're all 3 looks that I would wear, you know, in different situations. And I think it's fun to really explore the versatility of our palettes, and I think that keeps us from feeling like we need to buy every new thing because the things that we have are not fitting a certain niche, but really they could. We just have to figure out how to use them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you liked all 3 looks. I had a blast creating them for you. Like with the Wet n Wild series, which you guys seem to really, really like, these are things that I want to try and do once a month. I think that's going to be reasonable for me. Now, let me know what you're interested to see down below. If I can do more than once a month, I definitely will. I would love for it to be a weekly thing, but it's just, realistically, it's just a time consuming operation for me right now. But I have had somebody already request the Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean palette next, so that will be the next one that goes up. But if you have any that you would like to see, definitely let me know down below. And if I have the palette, I would be happy to start working on that. And if I can't do a Fresh Fierce Fabulous, maybe we can just do a tutorial. But let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, these tutorials using the Kristen Leanne palettes from Urban Decay. I really do enjoy these. They're just fantastic quality. And this is what I expect and love from Urban Decay when they come out with this. And I wish they would do more of this. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out and talking about makeup with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Have a rocking week, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.